ADA, Americans with Disability Act, ADA. I think a lot of us have heard about it. It was an act passed by Congress which saw that, or intended to see, that people with disabilities could as easily get into businesses as people without disabilities. It was designed to provide full access for the disabled to all places of business, entertainment, etc. Well, there's been a lot of suits that have been filed as a result of the ADA statute, many of which have sought to bring businesses into compliance and say they have to be handicap accessible. Well, that brings us to this week's case. It involves a situation in California where a man visited a Pier 1 import. There he was. He tried to get into the store, got into the store eventually, and he conducted his business. He then proceeded to use the men's room, finished his shopping, left the store. But after he left the store, he had a complaint filed against the store saying that it was not ADA compliant. He said that there were 5 barriers to someone in a wheelchair. He said as a result of that, someone like himself would be unable to fully access the store. Well, the case went forward and Pier 1, on their behalf, argued, wait a second. This guy, well, he didn't have any injuries. He didn't have any problems. He was able to come into the store. He used the men's room. He fully accessed the store. He did the business he came in to do. Hey, there's no problem here, even though there might be some technical violations, not a problem. And he doesn't have standing to sue us because he never suffered any injury. Well, the case went forward. The case went to federal district court. Court there made a decision, then it went up to an appellate court, the 9th District Court of Appeals. And the 9th District Court of Appeals looked at this and said, hey, there is not a problem, because under the Act, there must be injury in fact, must be a situation in which someone was not able to access a place of business because of some kind of a barrier, ramps or whatever else that were not in place, or some kind of difficulties that he had, staircases instead of ramps, whatever the case is. In this instance, while it said that that was the case, in reality, those barriers, quote unquote, were not of such an obstacle to him that he wasn't able to fully transact business in the store and that the store services were not fully open to him. Therefore, they said that he doesn't have standing to complain, and he doesn't have standing to bring a complaint. What does standing mean? Standing is a concept in the law which basically says you have to have some basis to bring this lawsuit. That means if you've suffered injury, as in an accident, then you have standing. If someone has broken a contract and you have suffered out-of-pocket expenses, you have standing, you have some kind of damages. If you don't have some kind of damages, if you don't have some kind of injury, if you don't have some real manifestation of harm, then you don't have standing, and then you can't bring a complaint. All right, so we learned a couple of things from this week's case. One, we learned that just because there might be some barriers to a business providing services to those with disabilities, there has to be injury to that person who is complaining, i.e. they have to show that they weren't able to use the business as they intended. And two, we learned that standing exists in the law, that you need to have some actual harm before you can bring a suit against somebody else. Okay, hey, we bring you these cases every week so you understand how the law works, because we want to see that you can make the law work for you. I'm David Allen.